That's it. We're at the last concept, but it's not really a concept. It's more like a wrap it up in a nice, neat little package. And it's actually not like that either. You know what? Forget it. We'll get to it when we get back. Alright, so you've gone through all of these videos now, and you've learned a whole bunch of different concepts. And you've now been able to maybe think about them or think about ways to add them into your world. This is just the foundation, and we are committed to expanding upon that foundation every single week. That's a big, tall order, especially when we're only doing 2 videos a week. I think I stated in earlier videos, I've reshot them so many times now that I don't actually remember which video has which part in it. But we want to hear what you're looking for. And this is a part of how we're going to tie it up and move forward. We're going to take every email that we get, and while we may not be able to respond to them all, we absolutely are going to print them and sort them into groups of questions and the majority rules. If we do 2 videos in a week, one of them will absolutely be based on the questions that we have been asked. If we have enough questions asked, that is. Because you never know. Maybe we won't. So we hope to get at least 2 of these question videos out. My thought is that we can answer more than one question in a video. I'm trying hard to keep them between 15 and 20 minutes. Sometimes we'll go over that. So we'll get to as many questions as we can in each of these videos, but the reality is you have a say in how Alpaca Paintbrush evolves. Why is that? Well, what I might think is important might not be what you really need. And that kind of leads us to, how are we going to know what topics to do? Well, we have a whole list of topics. I mean, pages of topics. Topics is not a problem in this subject, but we also listen. I am out there all the time listening to what artists have to say and what their needs are, and I have found that there tends to be very much a trend to the questions of the week that I get from clients and other people that I talk to. It's really interesting to me how those trends work. So a lot of times we're going to delve into our list and take a look at the trends and see where the 2 meet, because maybe we can accomplish a couple things at a time. It's important, though, that you know that we want to hear from you, because your needs might be distinctly different. Maybe you live in a very urban area and you're wondering how that affects everything that you can do, because it's a different experience there. Maybe you're wondering about some other types of products that we could review. That gets us to the idea that we will be reviewing different products. And we're going to do that because I learn something every time I use a new type of supply, but also because there's a lot you can learn by trying different products, and there's a lot of money to be saved if you know the differences between all of the products. I mean, we all know the big names in some of the different supplies that we use, but is it possible that there's something just as good for half the cost? I mean, maybe there is, maybe there isn't. The other thing is if we're committed to saying that art is first, then we should also be incorporating some of that into what we do. So that's another reason that we're going to do some reviews and whatnot. The other thing that I would like to end with is that I can't motivate you. I can give you ideas, I can give you concepts to think about, and I can give you ways to brainstorm, and I can give you tips on different ways. But I'm not the one who's actually going to execute and pull these ideas off. Only you can do that. You have to be committed. This is not an easy path to take. It takes perseverance, it takes working through frustration and fears, and it takes sometimes long hours. And it takes a constant rhythm. And it takes self-awareness. It's not easy. And I'm not trying to scare you off. It's just, we're not in the world we used to be. Everybody's an artist now. You know, they used to say that about photography. Everybody's a photographer. And then it became just a given. You know what I have to say to that? The more creativity in the world, the better. And there's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, schools are cutting back on arts. States are cutting back on arts. The more creative people we can have in the world spreading creative ideas, the better the world gets. It's been proven over and over that creatives lead industry. Think about this for a minute. We have all these science fiction writers who came up with all these wild ideas and did all this wild artwork. And then people were inspired to see if it could actually happen. That's the power you have. And that's truly what this last concept is understanding that you have the power. So it's not really a concept because there's all kinds of other stuff in there. But think about it. I've said it all along. You glorious artists, have the power. You have to embrace it and use it. That's the role you have. You have the power to create change, add beauty to the world, create discussion. Think of all the things you can do with that. It's pretty amazing if you think about it. And so knowing you have the power, now we have to be responsible about that power. Artists should give back. Find a way to do it. I myself volunteer on a state board as a treasurer for an organization and at the local chapter as the chapter chair. I've also spent a year working with the Alzheimer's Association with their Memories in the Making program. I can't tell you how much that program gave back to me. I didn't paint with watercolors before that, and now one of my biggest areas of interest creatively is Japanese watercolor, which I would have never gotten to if I hadn't gotten to watercolor first. It's an amazing adventure when you give back, because every time you're giving back, you receive something in return that you just can't quantify. And that's one of the ways getting involved in some of these art organizations can be very beneficial to you. But serve your time. Volunteer. Do that thing. Use that power wisely. Do it for good and for justice. Pick your causes wisely. Do the things that make the world a better place. And I'm not saying prettier or more perfect, but do that thing that adds something to the world that wasn't there before, that only your voice can bring. That's the big concept here. You have the power. You can tell us some of the things we should be doing topics on. You can volunteer and give back and use your power wisely and grow and learn from it and have new experiences that will feed your creativity so that you can then share it to gain your following. You get my point here. This is a self-fulfilling prophecy, and what you put into it is what you will get out of it. So while you have that power, if you don't use it, you're not going to get a darn thing out of it. So consider that and plot out your plan and stay true to the concepts that we've already covered. Do something. I mean, sometimes I feel like there's artists I need to just look at and say, get off your ass and go do something. Sitting will do nothing. I mean, unless you're sitting making art, then it does something. But there's still that group of time that you have to be doing other things. And when you give to your art like that and to your business like that, it pays off in tenfold. So there's the last and final concept that I want everybody to embrace. You have the power. You can do this. But it also means you need to get moving. So consider subscribing to our newsletter if you liked what you heard in here, and I hope you did. Any suggestions are always welcome. And also consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. And if you really found some value out of us and you know some other artists, spread the word. I've said that twice in these videos. You're not going to hear it much more often than that. I believe that if we do our job right, you'll want to tell people about us. And who knows, maybe you can watch us grow as we watch you grow. It'll be an interesting journey we take together.